Hello everybody, welcome to episode 7 of Indie Game Dev Report, a podcast for people who just can't seem to get enough when it comes to indie games. I'm RikOclon. I've lined up another great interview, this time with 3 members of Good Agreement Games on their project Super Beersbee, which is actually based off of a backyard drinking game called Beersbee. I'm really excited to show this one off for anyone listening or watching the YouTube video. If you're just listening, that's fine, but you should do yourself a favor and at least check out the trailer because the pixel art is super retro and it just looks fantastic. But before we get into that, as usual, I'd like to chat a bit about some indie stuff. So first off, I'd like to shout out Evil Villain Games, who came on the show for episode 3 to talk about their mobile real-time tactics RPG game called Raven's Path. And I'd also like to congratulate them. This is a little late, but they made the front page of Pocket Gamer. So great work, guys. I'm glad people are seeing this great game, and that's awesome. So check out episode 3 if you haven't to learn more about the game and the dev cycle. But go grab it on the Google Play Store if you've got Android. So check out Raven's Path. Next, I'd like to point out a simple trick that I came across. You may or may not have realized, depending on how much you use Twitter. But if you're looking for like Kickstarter campaign, you can just simply type hashtag Kickstarter in the Explore bar, and then you can click this little checkbox to make sure that it's the people you know. And voila! All you see is Kickstarters of friends you know, and for me there was only a couple. So that being said, I should shout them out. Check out Sombrero Cat with their project called Farmer Supreme. Sombrero Cat is gearing up for their Farmer Supreme Kickstarter with a pre-campaign. So the way that works is a little like wish listing on Steam, but it's for Kickstarter. If you go to the page, the Kickstarter page, you can now click to be notified when the campaign starts, which is super helpful. It's super useful for the campaign, and I'm sure Sombrero Cat would really appreciate that. I've been following them for a little while now, and I really like seeing what they're working on. It's all about farming and exploring in a very cute 2D pixel art, like pre-apocalyptic type world where everything is very happy and friendly from what I've seen so far. So then the other Kickstarter that I found that way is HiveQuest. So I've actually been following HiveQuest for a little while now as well, and I simply saw their tweets and they've been getting a lot of traction. It's a bee simulator. So bee simulators are just, there's like a void. You would think that there would have been a bee simulator before. There's probably quite a few ant simulators by now. Maybe not a ton, but everyone remembers SimAnt, and that I feel like that did pretty well. I liked the heck out of it. I really enjoyed SimAnt. That was a very fun game. So I hope it's fun, but with bees, so it would be quite different. And I think HiveQuest would be fun, so check out their Kickstarter and their trailer and see if you're interested. Oh, and the same goes for Indiegogo and other crowdfunding sites. You can just search that, the hashtag, and find it on Twitter. I remember the indie game Into a Dream recently had an Indiegogo campaign that I didn't actually get a chance to mention in the podcast, but they raised over $2,500. And now Into a Dream has a Steam release date of July 30th, so definitely go check that one out. It's a story-driven, atmospheric adventure game about love, hopelessness, and depression. So it looks very moving. If you're looking for that type of moving story, go find the trailer for Into a Dream and wishlist them on Steam. And if anyone out there is interested in what I'm up to, I've actually been in quite a bit of pain recently due to arthritis and previous injuries, on top of starting and stopping at my day job as a production picture framer due to COVID. So, the job is actually pretty intense, repetitious work, so it's not something that's easy to step away from and go back to as if you were never gone, even if you didn't have arthritis. But don't worry, I'm doing everything I can to rest and feel better. I eat healthy and I exercise, but sometimes my work-life balance is not exactly normal, being a developer and pretty much working 2 full-time jobs. So I'm going to do my best to try to correct that, and doing my best to keep stress low, trying to take my time on things instead of being Rapid Rick, as my manager likes to call me. I haven't been killing myself over marketing my game or getting gifts out like I normally do, and I feel a little bit better because of it. Mostly I have to limit the use of my arms outside of my day job since it demands so much of my arms, 40 hours a week. I've got some vacation time coming up. I'm finally investing in an ergonomic desk and buying all the cool ergonomic accessories for myself. I'm still waiting on all the parts to come in the mail. I'm just doing my best to be patient here for that, and just going with the flow for a bit. Rest assured, Retro Spaceball is still going to be back in gear very soon. The podcast is relatively unaffected, actually, and still going strong. The interviews are becoming pretty much weekly. It seems like it's actually still picking up speed at a accelerating rate. So that's nice. It seems like there's some exponential growth ahead for this podcast. While it takes varying amounts of time to get them out, the workflow is like really nice and relaxed so far, and there's no looming podcast Saturday hashtag or anything like that. So in a way, it's far more chill than game dev. I've done some testing on my card game, and I can't stop filling notebooks with ideas of other projects. So yeah, the pain isn't stopping me. It's just setting me back a little bit. So whoever's working on that MindLink cursor device, go ahead and pick up the pace a bit, just for suffering arthritics like myself. If you could, that would be fantastic. Okay, so now that I've shouted out some folks and managed to explain myself without complaining too much, hopefully, let's get into this awesome interview with Good Agreement Games. It's more like a party, I guess. It's hopefully it doesn't get too wild for you, and I hope that you enjoy this IGDR coverage of Super Beersbee. Okay, everyone, I've got this awesome interview lined up. We've got Good Agreement Games with Super Beersbee is the game they're working on. And there's quite a few of them here, so if I could have everyone just kind of introduce yourself, just however you guys want to do it.
I guess I'll go first. I'm Corey Rupert. I'm the lead game design and the artist.
I'm Jarrett. I'm the sound designer, FX, and do a little bit of art.
I'm Richard, and I do quite a bit of the programming.
Cool. So I want to thank you guys so much for coming on. This is awesome. And we actually have a co-host today for the first time on the show. If you want to introduce yourself, Brian.
Yeah, so I'm Brian, also known as TechieCrow.
Cool. And Techie actually is a friend of mine through networking, and actually just from hanging out. He's been a fan of the podcast and a fan of Retro Spaceball. So it's great to have him on, and we've become friends. So it's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Nice.
Yeah. And so Super Beersbee, now this is a pixel art game. Now it's based on a real life sport kind of game, like a field sport type thing, right? Is that how you explain it? Like a field sport?
It's like a outdoor backyard drinking game.
That's a better way to describe it. Okay, so Super Beersbee the game it's kind of like Super Nintendo graphics, and you're playing this backyard drinking game. And now I'm on the Game Jolt page here, and it's got the ratings here, and it's got some mild cartoon violence, some alcohol use, some brief nudity, some strong language, and crass humor.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Cool. So those sound like features to me, right? So what was the inspiration to do such a crass game?
It's literally based on a true story. It's based on us playing Beersbee.
Friends group. Yes.
That's great. So when I saw in the trailer, it says based on a true story, which I thought was hilarious because I thought it was clearly a joke. But it turns out this is real life.
Yes and no. It's real life extrapolated from, a little bit of experience, but
All the playable characters, like the 8 core playable characters, are based on the people who were in this Beersbee League. So it's based on the real people, just exaggerated.
Cool. So now this Beersbee League. Now, how did this form? Was this something because you guys were all playing, or was it something that formed online?
yeah. So basically, 2 characters in the game by the name of Brad and Jeff. We would always play the backyard drinking game, and they went on a big win streak and then formed their own team. They called themselves Gin Jeff, and they were undefeated. So from that, we formed the Stu's Beersbee League, and they're still undefeated, I think. And it's been years. So
Currently, yes.
Wow, undefeated team. That's intense.
Yeah, so then they made these like wrestling style videos to challenge everybody. So then so other people in the group also made videos, and it's kind of just been escalating. And the newest escalation is we made a video game.
Well, I love it. I think that's a great reason to make a video game. So if you guys are backyard sports drinkers, where did you find the time to start learning programming and pixel art, or is that something that you were already into beforehand?
We kind of all had our own little take. I knew a little bit of programming, and we had a guy that knew sound, and we had a guy that loved pixel art.
So it just so happens that you were also playing this backyard sport and happened to be able to make a video game and just never done it before.
Yeah, so we had never really like sat down and attempted to make a full game. Like I myself have always been into pixel art, so I've always been doing pixel art. And I used to play with if you ever used Mugen. Mugen was like a fighting game engine.
No, I've never heard of that one. It sounds interesting though.
It was big in, I would say, like early 2000s. It was like a big engine then.
Oh.
If you see those like really weird mashups of like fighting game characters online, that's what that engine is.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So I started with that, and then then I picked up Game Maker and just kind of ran with it.
Well, and around what year would you say you picked up Game Maker?
Oh, this would have been very early on. I'm gonna say 05.
Oh wow, yeah, that is extremely early. Very cool.
But I never really like actually learned it until probably about 3 years ago. Like I had putzed and kind of made things here and there, but nothing like, hey, let's make a full game.
Right on. Yeah, no, I spent a little bit of time in Game Maker, and it was difficult for me. But it was a few years after when you started. But yeah, it's not easy. It's very cool that you were able to advance.
Yeah, it's a big learning curve.
Yeah, it's. I mean, for someone like me, like same thing. I'd never coded until 3 years ago. They told me, "Hey, get Game Maker." I was like, "What are you doing? I'm a musician." And then I was like, "Whatever." So I picked it up, and yeah, from a beginner standpoint, it's pretty user friendly, I would say, in terms of a beginner. We don't use a lot of the I don't think we use any of the drag and drop features of it. It's all its own scripting and whatever. But yeah, the manual is pretty good, straightforward. But it is definitely its own language.
Oh yeah, the Game Maker language, yeah, GML, definitely. And when I was using, I definitely used some of the drag and drop stuff, but yeah, I found it very limiting, and maybe that's why I didn't get very far. If you want to go into the music aspect a little bit more, that'd be awesome. How did you get your start into the audio field?
Well, I've been playing music since I could walk, I guess. And then I always liked mixing, mashing up different songs and messing around digitally and stuff like that. And then I've always been big into video game music. Like titles like Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy. They always had those really big scores that were, even with the limiting kind of chiptune like sound engine. It's been, it's pretty cool. It was fascinating me from pretty early on. So I got into that, and then it just kind of worked out with this NES style game. So. Very
cool. And are there any particular tools that you're using currently?
Yeah, so I use a mix of Fami Tracker, Fruity Loop Studio, and Audacity.
Very cool.
All free programs, which is amazing. And yeah, between those three, like it's you got everything you need to do. So
awesome. Very cool. And did you make the music like early on in the development and move from there, or did you already have some of the development in Game Maker and then start with the music? How did that kind of work out? Because I love the music, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Definitely.
It's well, no, I kind of base it off of as the game developed. Like I would, we'd have a stage set, and then I'd load it up on my screen, and then make the music go along with it to sort of see what's going on, see what kind of fits, and then after that, just sort of progressed and extrapolated, and but yeah, that's basically how it went.
Very cool. Yeah, I'll have to play a little bit of the music in the background here for the listeners of the podcast because it's great music.
No, that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So, what kind of challenges have you faced in the development as so far?
It's been learning curve. It's mostly trying to figure out the engine itself. And the biggest problem that we keep running into is the game's very true to Beersbee itself, but we're learning that Beersbee itself doesn't translate well into a game. So we've been trying to find the fun in order to make it a video game.
Right. And it seems apparent in the trailer that you've found the fun, or at least you found a way to make it look fun. At least I haven't played the game yet, so I'm looking forward to playing it. But the trailer just looks fun as heck. I mean, you got a guy who he like tosses the frisbee and hits it with his head, right? Whose idea was that? Is that true story stuff?
I was working on the trick shots for everybody, and that character actually had a different trick shot because the player itself throws the frisbee very high in the air and then it hits. That's what William does. But I couldn't get it to translate. I was like, well, what's funny? I was like, what if he just headbutts it? And then I just made him headbutt it.
No, I like that better. And sometimes you have to exaggerate on the truth to make a game, of course.
I feel like if anybody could headbutt it, it's that guy too. So.
Absolutely.
Did you see that part, Techie? Or Brian?
Yeah, I did. I'm actually watching the trailer again now. It's serious but funny at the same time. I love it.
And that's honestly the theme of the entire game. The entire game takes itself seriously, but the fact that they're taking Beersbee seriously is what's funny about it.
Yeah.
Now, personally, I'm not into sports or backyard sports so much. I probably played some back in the day, but right now I've been playing this game called Killer Queen. It's an arcade game, but it's 5-on-5. So it's a similar type. There's like an IRL quality to it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I like the idea of the like community factor of it. Is there a way that you've tried to bring the like Beersbee community into the game yet, or is that something that you're not quite focused on?
We would like to be able to figure out a way to get it to Beersbee community, but like Beersbee community and people who play video games aren't really a cross point, so that's kind of been a struggle to get that to work.
Yeah, it seems surprising to me that you would have that cross point just naturally, but I mean, if it's there, run with it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We're also kind of frustrated that a lot of games these days don't really have a couch co-op option anymore. So that was a really big point for us, that we wanted 4 people to be able to sit in a room and play a game together, like kind of old school.
Oh yeah, I 100% agree with you on that. I've got a little demo that I'm making, hopefully into a full game. That is literally just a 2-person game. There is no single player option, and it's a local co-op game.
Awesome.
It's like I refuse to add a single player option to that.
Yeah, it's like there was a dry spell, right? And everyone just kind of stopped, and all the AAA companies were like, no, like that's not how video games are made. And now I feel like there's an extra push for that right now, especially among developers.
Yeah, well, like when Overwatch came out, I was surprised that thing was not 4-player split screen. It shocked me to find that out.
Yeah, me too. But I mean, things are different, you know. Things have changed so much since 007 GoldenEye, for example, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Need myself some good screen peeking.
I think something that sparked the local co-op again is the fact that EA is against it. And everyone's like, oh, what? No, we need it still.
I agree. Oh, you know, EA is just like that, to jump on decisions that don't need to be made, you know?
Yeah, it's like, no, you don't like single player. It's all online multiplayer now. No.
Like how are you supposed to make money off of that, right?
Yeah.
The Anthem decision was weird to me. Is the fact that they forced a story-based studio to make an online game just seemed weird to me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's super weird.
And it just confused their entire audience, it seemed like.
Yeah, which is a shame because it actually ended up being a pretty decent game. It just like nobody wanted to play it because it's not what they expected out of BioWare.
Yeah. Yeah. Huh? You live and you learn, I guess. I feel like when you're an indie, you don't have to worry about all of those pressures, but there's like all types of other pressures to worry about, you know?
Yeah, like in indie, it's like make the game you want to make, but then once you're done, you're like, how do I market this?
Yeah.
The plus about being an indie studio is Corey was making my character, and he said, "What should you taunt be?" And I was like, "I don't know. What do you think?" He's like, "Well, why don't you pull your penis out?" And I was like, "What?" Like, yeah, that's what it is. So, there's no chain of command. It's just, okay, that's my taunt now. So
that's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. It reminds me of that Code Monkeys show on G4 back in the day. Oh man. Yeah, so you can just kind of do whatever you want. So that's pretty cool. I mean, obviously there's some rules, but it's pixel art, so you're not breaking any of them. So that's pretty great. And that's where that brief nudity comes in, apparently.
That's one of the cases, yeah.
There's a couple more, but yeah, you'll find me just gotta play story mode.
That's great. That's so good. Yeah, I can't wait to see more of this game.
The nudity?
The screenshots look awesome. Now it looks like one of the so there's like level design going on here, right? Could you go into the level design a bit?
Are you talking like the single player?
I'm just looking at the screenshots here, and it looks like the maps are different, and there's a couple different spots you can play.
Yeah, we kind of have a few different courts to play on.
Yeah, is that the moon?
Yeah, that is the moon.
That is the moon.
Please tell me that's based on real life.
Yeah, like we said, based on a true story. Yeah, like we always just wanted to make sure that the stages themselves made people laugh as well. Like there's a stage where you're in the snow and the lines are actually made by a guy who pissed all the lines out.
My personal favorite is the docks, where if you go out past the docks, you float on the head of a manatee, which is pretty awesome.
That's great. Wow. So do you guys just have like a think tank of like crazy ideas that you're going to throw into the game?
Since we all kind of work independently and like to make each other laugh, it ends up being one of us to set something up and then wait for the other people to see it and laugh.
Oh, I love that. I love it.
Wow. Yeah, that reminds me a little bit of like high school, where you'd like draw a picture and pass it around, so everyone would add to it.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. You should come up with a formal name for this development cycle. You know, like this plan. Make a website out of it. I love it. It could become a trend. And so Now, we had a little bit of a chance to speak during some setup time, and you mentioned that your dev cycle is 1 day a week. Do you want to go into that a little bit more?
Okay, so how it works for the 1 day a week, we get together every Sunday in the same room. Well, COVID has made it a little difficult, but we get together in the same room, and then we code, ask any questions, we bounce ideas off each other, and then during the week, we're kind of just free to touch it whenever we have our own time.
Ah, okay. So you actually, when you can, during non-COVID experiences, you can get everyone into the same room, get some actual coding done, and whatever else needs to be done. And then during the rest of the week, you just kind of do it whenever you feel like you need to. That's great.
Yeah, whenever we have time.
Exactly.
So does that help keep the stress way low then?
It does, but you still feel the pressure of like, hey, you got to finish the game, right?
Eventually.
Is there some type of looming deadline, or is it something that there's some
I would
wiggle
call it more
room?
of a sliding deadline.
Okay.
It's more like that hey, more. It would be nice.
It's a date that Corey pulls out of a hat every couple of months.
Yeah, every time I get asked, I just throw a new date at them.
That's very normal in this industry. You're like everyone else right there.
Yeah.
So that's very cool.
Since it's an indie game and since it's our first game, we want to make sure that it's right before we release it.
Absolutely, yeah. So do you guys depend on each other to finish? Like, for example, does somebody depend on someone to finish a bit of artwork before you can carry on? Or do you just put a placeholder here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's absolutely. We wait on artwork or code or like a song or a sound effect. But like, honestly, between the three of us, if you ask once, it'll be done probably next time you're ready to ask for it.
Yeah, if it's a pressing thing, like if it's a priority thing, we'll say, hey, I need this, and then that'll be what we work on until it's finished and send it off.
Wow. Very cool.
That sounds like a really cool development cycle. Instead of just like, here's 1,000 things you need to do. I'm not going to tell you when it needs finishing, but you just need to do it.
Yeah, like there's still that ongoing list of 1,000 things that need to be done, but like there's always that pressing thing. It's like, hey, can you work on this next? And then they'll whip it out, and then you can continue because you don't really get stopped that way. I haven't really felt like we hit any roadblocks yet.
Corey's also a bit of a feature creature. He every time I see his game, he's got some new thing put into it, and it's like, where did you have time for this? Number one, and two, that's pretty cool.
Working, you can't complain, right?
Right. My problem is like whenever I'm working on a feature for too long, I'll get like stuck and I'm like, whatever, I'm gonna go do something else, and then I make like some kind of stupid mini game.
Yeah, my problem is that every time I change something, it breaks everything else.
Oh, that's everybody.
Oh, so much fun though, right? So, outside of the actual sport Beersbee and Beersbee the video game, Super Beersbee, what other kind of hobbies do you guys have?
I think we were all gamers, so we always enjoy our games.
Very cool.
We like to play Dungeons and Dragons. I'll throw that out there.
Oh yeah.
Now I'm jealous.
Yeah, and I recently got into mini painting, so that's kind of been my thing.
Ooh.
You got into mini painting?
Yeah, like painting minis for D&D.
Oh, miniatures. I got you.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
Very cool. Now, are these miniatures ones that you buy like that are cast in pewter, or are they printed from 3D printing?
They're just the ones that you can like go to the store and they're like a plastic D&D brand ones.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I'm actually seeing there's a small pull for people printing these things, so that's pretty cool.
I've been told it's the more affordable way to do it.
I guess it depends, you know. If you know what you're doing with a printer, it can be pretty affordable, but if you don't, it can be pretty pricey. But I don't know anything about printing yet, so I'm learning.
Nor do I.
Very cool. Yeah, you know, and D&D, that's very cool stuff. So not just video games, then I take it. Are there board games or card games involved in this at all, or?
Oh yeah,
we play a lot of Risk.
Yeah,
Risk. Wow.
And I'm seeing them out.
Yeah,
so the board game Risk, like that, you bust out the pieces and stuff. You haven't lost them all yet. Wow, that's very cool. That's impressive also.
Recently, we played a little bit of Risk Online since this Corona happened.
Yeah, one of my friends actually was doing the same thing, was playing Risk Online just recently.
Yeah, it's a good way to keep in touch with your friends, and Corey can still keep all his peace in Australia that way. So
it's the only way to win, man.
Yeah, that brings up my next question. How do you stay friends and still play Risk, right?
I was going to ask that, yeah.
Barely.
Oh, I was never very good at the game. Well, that's a great answer. That's So I take it there's a competitive spirit amongst you then.
Definitely.
Yeah, I would say so.
Corey's competitive, and then we just like to spite Corey, I think. So
yeah, that sounds about right. One year we did Video Game Olympics where we just played a bunch of video games and had like a whole Olympics thing going on and made trophies and all that. So I would say we're competitive.
We had a super LAN set up, so we had like 16-person Halo in one house, and we were all playing in the same house. It's ridiculous.
It was fun.
Holy cow! So how long has this been going on? Since like high school then, or
just after, I would say.
Wow, that's so cool. I mean, just the fact that you have a friendship that lasts that long, but the fact that you're still doing sports and games together, and then actually creating stuff together now, that's really impressive.
Yeah, like we've all been friends since like I think we were like 10, and yeah,
that's so cool. So even when college happens and all that stuff, you guys still stuck together and stuck it out. That's way cool.
The secret is I never went to college, so we're good.
I'd say that's a pretty good secret. Cost a lot to go to college. I think you saved some money there.
Yeah. YouTube was just fine. I just getting any papers is all.
Yeah, and when I was in college, they were like, "Hey, check out YouTube."
Yeah, that was like when I was going to school. I was learning a little programming, and then your teacher says, "Oh, go to this website, and it'll teach you this and this." I'm like, "Are you kidding me? This is what I'm paying you for, so I can go on a website."
Yeah, sometimes that's where the best information is. But yeah, it's a sad truth to paid schools.
Yeah, when I went to university, they literally handed me the instruction book, and I was like, "Well, no shit."
Yeah.
But learning things by yourself, you learn them a lot. It might take longer to learn them, but you learn them better, I would say.
I agree.
Yeah, definitely.
For me, it was all about finding like practical uses for things. Like mathematics was really difficult for me to learn until I started making video games. Then all of a sudden it had a purpose.
Yeah.
I mean, I still just guess when I code. I'm like, I don't know math. I'm just going to guess what this number's going to be.
Oh,
yeah, and if it's wrong, you just invert it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's even better when there's more variables because then there's more things to invert. I mean, it might take longer, but you'll get there. One of them has to be right.
Yeah, sooner or later you'll find it.
That's just science.
Yeah, and then there's always Stack Overflow or whatever.
See, I go about math the same way I go about Minesweeper. I just click until I win.
Have you ever won that way?
No.
I didn't think so. That's too funny. Okay, that's good. So, as far as future plans for the game, is there like a Kickstarter in the future planned, or some type of marketing tactic?
Not really a Kickstarter. We're just going to kind of release it on our plans right now is Game Jolt, Itch, and then Steam. So we're going to try to release them on those.
So I see there it's already got a demo on Game Jolt and Itch. Is there a demo on Steam already that I missed? No?
Not yet. We still have to set up a Steam page.
Okay, I'm in the same spot as you. Still setting up. Very cool. So we'll see more on Itch and more on Game Jolt, and then eventually on Steam. And the trailer's awesome already. What kind of stuff are we going to see in future development for the game?
Well, right now, I'm not really happy with the demo that's out right now. So I kind of want to get together and sit down and make a new demo so we can get that out.
Okay.
So that is kind of like the next milestone I want to hit.
That sounds reasonable.
The next demo should have, a little bit of story mode. You can get to a certain point. You'd be able to create your character. You can character customization, things like that. Just a little bit more content than what the demo has right now. Because I think the demo right now is just a versus mode exclusively. So it'll be a little bit more than that.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then after that, really just until we release the game. That's like the next thing we want to release, and then get the game done.
Do you have any plans for like partnerships and marketing or anything like that? Are you going to do all the marketing yourself, or?
We don't really have a marketing budget, to be completely honest, so we'll probably do the marketing ourselves.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, we do some local networking events and stuff. We meet some people who have marketing as their strong suit. We haven't really done anything too specific to that, just because we're not at a point to market it yet.
Sure.
Just a little bit of guerrilla promotion kind of thing.
Yeah, like we've done global game jams in the past, and we get to see a few of the local coders and stuff like that. And we talk to them, and sometimes we'll show off our demos or a game and just see different developers. And
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's important to not be despaired just because you don't have a budget. I mean, you can come up with a budget later, and crowdfunding can help you. Maybe, perhaps, you'll just have to see where the game takes you. I feel like, and the more you network with people, and the more you reach out to people like me with this podcast and stuff like that, you're gonna find help. So definitely, it's going to be possible to market it yourself. It's, it might be easier with a, 20, 30 grand to throw at a company to market, but yeah, that's not something everyone has. So people are going to be willing to help.
Yeah. And I was listening to your podcast, and I'm interested in that Indie World Order, so I'm probably going to look that up.
Oh yeah, it's very loosely tied group. It's like one of those groups you don't want to hear about on the internet, like loosely affiliated group. Anyone can join. It could be your neighbor. No, seriously, it's basically just anyone that uses the hashtag is part of it. So
I got you.
Yeah. And there's a Discord that you can join. It's just packed with devs now. It's almost hard to have a conversation in there, but everyone's there. But yeah, I would say mostly just interacting with the devs that use that hashtag on Twitter. They're all very interactive people. It's
definitely,
it's cool. Very cool community. I mean, I was talking about it with someone on Twitter earlier. It's like, this is the best community I've found, is the Twitter dev community. They're just so nice.
Yeah, it's surprising. Like, I just started kind of picking my way into it. It's surprisingly how supportive they are.
Yeah, I mean, because every time you hear about Twitter, it's usually some negative stuff, but for me, that's not the case.
I guess it's who you follow, right?
Yeah, it really is. That's how it comes down to it.
One of the cooler events that we ended up doing for promotion was we got invited to put our trailer at a theater and have a whole bunch of other devs and come see it. That was probably one of my favorite things we've done, because it was cool to see the trailer on the big screen.
Yeah, I can imagine. That sounds really cool.
Yeah, it was super cool.
Yeah, is that something that's exclusive to your area, or is that something you think is happening?
I've heard of a few other places doing it, but there's a place here in Edmonton that's big about indie games, and the guy's always trying to promote it, so he sets up events to sit down and put your game out there to have people play.
Oh man,
the big screen thing. Told me to brag a little bit, but we were also nominated for an award through the same company, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah, no, definitely. I want to hear more about this award. Brag a bit. This is your game. Yeah.
So we were nominated for Best Art Direction.
Oh, very cool. Wow. Very cool.
I can see why as well.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, that was pretty exciting. Unfortunately, we didn't end up winning, which I'm like, whatever. But yeah, it was cool to have somebody, because we didn't even enter in. We just noticed that we were nominated for it. So I was like, someone played our game and liked it.
That's even better.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, and I'm jealous that we don't have a community like that here in Phoenix, because we need it for sure.
Yeah, I think I need to move.
Yeah, I think what helps here, because in Edmonton is mostly where of our indie stuff is based. Really? Having BioWare here is a big help, because they put a lot of money and awareness to the indie group here.
Oh, wow.
That's very cool.
That's so cool. So were you all located there to begin with, or did you relocate to Edmonton?
I'm from Edmonton, and then the other two are just like from cities and towns outside of Edmonton.
Okay, like the suburbs.
Yeah, we're pretty close to Edmonton.
Very cool.
But we all grew up in the same small town, so that's where we met.
Sure.
Which is actually where our town that we come from is called Bonaccord, and that's where Good Agreement comes from, because that's French is bon accord.
Oh.
So that's why we're called Good Agreement Games.
Explain that again, because you're small town.
Yeah, so a small town is called Bonaccord.
Bonaccord.
Which is roughly translated to Good Agreement.
Oh, I get it. It's a translation. I see.
Yeah.
Accord. Yeah, I see. Right. Very cool. Good Agreement. Yeah, I like it because it's a positive message,
It's couch co-op games rarely end in good agreements. Corey's had his fair share of, less than savory tricks to win a game when we've been playing, but, it's
a win's a win.
Exactly. You can yank on the cord, right? It's not against the rules.
Yeah, unplug the controller. It doesn't work so well these days, but
knock them out of their hand.
Yeah.
So, what kind of games? Let's do a little like retrospective of what kind of games you played, and then also what kind of games you're playing now, if you'd like. Because it sounds like you guys are hardcore gamers.
Hardcore, as in we play a lot of games, but definitely not skill.
Definitely not what?
Definitely not skill.
No skill.
Does skill matter?
Hardcore.
It's about having fun, right? So what kind of hardcore casual games did you play back in the 90s or so?
Back in we all grew up on, Super Nintendo, NES, all that good stuff. My big game, one that really kind of brought me into the games are cool, was Chrono Trigger. Was a huge one for me.
Yeah.
The art style, the music, just the story, everything was super cool about it. And I was like, wow,
cool.
This really tells a story kind of thing.
Are RPGs like a big staple for you?
Yeah, they're a staple for sure. Surprisingly, I haven't played the Final Fantasy series. I've just kind of dabbled in it.
Which I hate.
But Secret of Mana, Secret of Gaia, all that kind of stuff. Secret of Evermore. Lots of
Yeah. Yeah, no, I really like the action adventure. The action RPG genre.
For sure.
Yeah, I grew up with again, same thing, NES, Super Nintendo. JRPGs were some of my favorites, which is Final Fantasy for me.
Yeah.
And then I was really into Street Fighter. I'm still really into Street Fighter. So
awesome. Are you playing the newest ones?
Yeah, I'm into 5. A lot of people kind of hated 5 because it got a little money grubbing, which I agree. But it's really polished.
Okay. Cool. I'll have to take a second look at it.
I enjoyed some NES, or actually SNES, Mortal Kombat.
Oh yeah.
I basically played every SNES game there was. I actually had a cousin that would buy basically a game a week, and we'd always just get down and play the new game. So I played a ton of SNES games back in the day.
I hated playing games at Ricky's house because he would go over there and he's like, oh yeah, I got this new SNES game, and it was True Lies, where you can't get past the second level, or then it was Lethal Weapon where you can't get past the first level, and then it was Jurassic Park where you don't even start the game. It's just so hard.
Yeah, some of those games were extremely frustrating, but you always had a good time.
Dude, I wanted Rocketeer to be good so bad.
I remember beating the first level one time, and my brother and me were like, how did we do that? How did we beat the first level? And then we lost, of course, and then it resets. And we're like, oh, are you kidding me?
I'm not sure you beat the first level. I believe you think you beat the first level, but I don't think anybody beat the first level.
Yeah, and of course, the N64 Conker's Bad Fur Day was a really good game, too. There's lots of N64 games out there that are really good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. And that's when couch co-op was like its
heyday.
Yeah. Exactly. Big inspiration for Super Beersbee itself was Super Dodgeball, and then there was also it was like a dodgeball game where you played as like Gundams and like weird Power Ranger thing.
Yeah, I have not played that one. I played Super Dodgeball. I was actually going to bring that up, and I'm glad you did because I forgot. But yeah, I can definitely see the similarities in Super Dodgeball and your Super Beersbee.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the camera angle specifically really influenced how we did Super Beersbee. Because like we didn't want to do overhead because you couldn't really get facial animations or anything like that. So that's why we went with the side screen.
No, I think it fits perfectly. I think you did a great job there.
Absolutely does, yeah. So I've got one question about controls. Is it possible to play with like one person keyboard and other people controllers?
Yes.
Okay, good. Because you mentioned that you're going to be releasing on Steam, and I'm not sure if you're aware, but Steam has a feature, Remote Play Together, so you can play couch co-op, but like online with your friends.
Okay, I never actually knew that.
I didn't. Yeah,
that actually sounds wicked.
It's a relatively new thing. It's something that not everyone's aware of yet, so it's good to spread this information for sure.
Yeah, and that fits our game really well.
It does. That's why I'm like really excited for it. So as soon as it's released on Steam, I'm definitely grabbing it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely have to check that out and make sure that works.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's like anything you have to do specifically or if it just works, but I've noticed it's been rolling out to loads of different games recently.
Yeah, I've only read on it and I haven't played with it myself, and I could be wrong, but from what I understand is that if it's a type of game where all the players are on the same screen, then it just works.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not sure.
Yeah, that actually worked perfect for our game.
Yeah. The reason I asked about the controls is it doesn't work too well when two people need a controller because like one of my friends doesn't have a controller.
Exactly.
So it just doesn't work. We decided like you can have one person using a keyboard or even two people using one keyboard, or you can have you can add a controller, and yeah, we've got it so it works.
You could, for testing purposes, we had it so 4 people could use the keyboard at one time, and that was a bit hairy.
I can imagine.
Yeah, I could see that fighting over the keyboard.
Yeah, but that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this.
Yeah, we're glad because like we're a little worried that the game is like a little bit too much for just us, that it's not really translating well, but it sounds like people are getting into it.
Well, I've never heard of Beersbee before.
We get
yeah. So as soon as I saw it, I was like, this actually looks really, really fun.
Yeah, it's almost like you could take credit for creating the sport almost, but I mean, obviously you wouldn't. But
that'd be awesome.
If someone doesn't realize that, then why not, right?
We'll throw a little TM up beside the Super Beersbee.
Oh, unless of course it's already trademarked, then that might be an issue, right?
We'll throw an I in there somewhere.
There you go.
Just change the letter.
Very cool.
Just half the opacity, so no one can really see it.
Yeah, no, I love the logo too. The animated bubbles, like the studs in the
Oh, that
the
was
logo.
all Jarrett. Jarrett did that one.
Oh, thank you.
Wow. Yeah, very nice. Good work.
It was a particle system, which was a lot of fun.
Cool.
But the important thing is it works now, so I'm glad it catches your eye.
Oh, it looks spectacular. Cool. So, how about films? Have you been influenced by films at all?
For Super Beersbee itself, I don't think any films have really inspired it, which is surprising.
Yeah, I would almost see like some type of college humor like fitting in, but maybe I could be completely
that's
wrong.
just our humor.
Yeah.
we grew up in time of like, Super Troopers and all this was a beer fest and all those kind of sort of dumb humor movies, so that's definitely translated.
Yeah, to game, I'm pretty sure Billy Madison influenced me a bit on it. Now that I think about it.
Billy Madison, you said?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's a good idea to like take that step back and think like, hey, have I been affected somehow? And then maybe you can hone in on that, or if you don't like the effects of it, then of course you can adjust it, right? But yeah, I think film is definitely one of those like indirect variables. Like, could especially for me, I read a lot of like audiobooks or listen to a lot of audiobooks and watch a lot of like films like that, and that it definitely in my like storytelling or in my like world designs and stuff like that, everything starts shifting just because of something that someone else wrote is like infiltrated me.
Yeah, it just kind of creeps in there.
Yeah. Sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. Very cool. So, what are your favorite sports besides Beersbee?
I like to play rugby.
Rugby.
Yeah, but other than that, I don't really follow a lot of sports.
I used to play a ton of soccer, but I haven't played soccer in a while. But yeah,
Richard's big into StarCraft.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah,
yeah. I'm not really big into sports.
Right on.
I watch a lot of baseball. That's about it.
You watch baseball?
I do watch baseball.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I like going to the.
Everyone's got their own thing.
To our local one. Well, back when it was open.
Oh, well, we don't have a team anymore, but it's the camera.
The prospects. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, our team switches out every other year.
That is adorable. I'll take you to a baseball game sometime.
Yeah.
I'll get you some Cracker Jacks.
Dude, I would love that. How have we never been to a baseball game together? That surprises me.
That's a good point.
Yeah, what's it been like 20 years? Whatever.
You guys are too much. So back to the project here. Before we get too derailed here, what would you guys say to yourselves? Like, I don't know, if you were just starting the project and you could like see yourselves then, what would you say to yourselves?
Don't be afraid to start over.
Have you had to start over?
We chose not to, and I've been every time. It's like, you could fix so many things, but it takes so much time to restart, and we just always say, it's not worth it. It's not worth it, but at some point it might have been worth it.
So I guess
a little bit different question from the music side.
Sorry, go on.
Sure.
Oh no, you guys go ahead, sir.
I was going to say, I guess the next question would be, if you was to start over, how would it change, if it would?
Well, the actual game, it might look the same to people, but maybe code-wise, you might have a little easier time to navigate everything. A little bit easier to read and a little bit easier to understand what's actually going on. Kind of cleaning up your code, making it more efficient, working better, but it takes time to do that, and yeah, it's a risk if you want to start over, because you might start over and you cause other issues that you didn't realize.
Yeah, so it's like you, for example, break the health system, and then you break the health system, you also break the system, and you just break
exactly.
Yeah, I've been there before. It's not great.
There's been, I think half of the bugs in our code was due to the shadow that the Frisbee casts. I think has been the main problem.
It seems like such a small bug.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things, right? The polish ends up taking way longer than you expect.
Yeah, and like some of the smallest bugs seem so small, but they're actually some of the biggest bugs. Where some of the bigger bugs that you think, oh my god, this is game breaking, are actually super simple to fix. Which is sometimes mind boggling when you're trying to fix it. You're like, what the heck?
Yeah.
I've definitely come across that, so I can agree.
Yeah, you expect to like have hours just staring at a bug, and like, it's just one single typo. Okay, never mind.
Or you can have a whole month or something of not being able to figure it out, and then when you do figure out, it was super
exactly.
Easy. And If it takes over a month for a bug, at that point it's a feature. Just be like, whatever. That's how the
game is. Oh man, and that's only 4 actual group days. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
4 days where everyone can play. That goes pretty quick. So lots of features in this one.
So for the thing I would tell myself at the beginning is don't overthink so much. Just make shit.
Yeah, also, I agree with that. I think
make sure you understand your source control would be another thing I would tell myself.
Your source control?
Yeah, because it's we use Tortoise SVN, and more than once it's just randomly got rid of a bunch of code that we just every time it was our fault, something we did, but we just didn't understand it enough, and then now we got.
I've never heard of that one.
But yeah,
Brian, have you heard of that one?
I've heard of it, but I've never used it before.
Yeah. I decided to try using it right at the beginning, just so then we can have all of us working on the code and the game at the same time. And it helps, but it also, if you don't use it properly, it can kind of put you behind as well.
I think that's the same with all source code.
Yeah.
Yeah, make sure to back up your stuff as often as you can.
Some good advice there. Word. All right. So, as far as stuff that you're seeing in the gaming news, is there any emerging technology that you're interested in the future for games? Or
Unreal 5 looks amazing. Unreal 5 looks nuts. Unreal Engine 5?
Yeah.
Looks amazing.
It does, yeah.
Towards a game, I would say I don't see any, but VR will be interesting to see if something can come out of it.
Oh yeah, I'm a big fan of the VR stuff. I mean, it still has a bit of a ways to go, but yeah. I love watching it. Love seeing what it does.
Yeah, it'll be interesting if they start to get some games that work well with it. There's a few out there, but they have a long ways to go yet, I would say.
So, Super Beersbee VR is maybe in the next 5 years. You never know.
Yeah, you bet.
I mean, someone else might do it if you don't. Right?
I mean, at that point, just go outside and
play. Yeah, definitely Beersbee RL.
Yeah.
Give me a great joke video that we could film. If somebody had a fake headset on, go play Beersbee outside, and they're just literally playing Beersbee outside.
That's great. Cool. All right. So we're kind of nearing the end here. It's been almost an hour. Is there anything that I didn't cover that you'd like to go over?
Not that I can think of. Corey?
I mean, we touched on a lot of the stuff that we're putting into the game. I guess we could talk about the creative player a little bit more.
About the what is it?
We have a creative player, so you can actually make your own Beersbee player in the game.
Create a player, really cool. Got you. So there's some customization elements to the characters.
The idea is you can play as yourself in this crazy Beersbee world that we made.
Yeah, that sounds very cool. So what are some of the details that you can customize?
You got your standards like your hair, your shirt, your skin color, pants, and stuff like that. But what's really cool about it is in the story mode, how you interact with people will change your personality, with your pre-built responses. Sometimes if you're an asshole during the game, your character's going to be an asshole. There's another one where if you just say dumb things, your character's just dumb.
Very cool. So, when do these opportunities arise to be dumb or say stupid things during the game?
It's mostly when you're interacting with other NPCs.
Okay. So, is this between matches then, I take it?
This is in the full-blown story mode. There's a story mode in the game where you wander around a Beersbee campus learning to play Beersbee and challenging other people on the campus.
Okay, so the campus is a school for Beersbee players?
Exactly.
Wow. And I take it there's some drinking that occurs?
Absolutely.
So, do you go into frat houses and stuff like that?
It's just the school campus itself.
Okay.
So you just wander around the campus and
like the commons area.
Exactly.
There's a lot of little Easter eggs and stuff we threw in the story, and there's gonna be a lot more by the time it's done. But pretty much everything you see in the game can be interacted with. You know, whether it's a tree or a garbage can or a lamppost or something. We got some stupid line written for it. So.
And there's got to be so much good reference material of like things that have occurred in like university commons. You know, especially like YouTube and stuff probably has tons of like footage of like just random things that you could throw in your game that would be funny as heck. You know,
right?
But yeah, you know, I didn't actually go to a university, but I've partied at one before.
I based it off of a lot of like my university experiences, and our university experience was a lot of drinking.
Yeah.
So like I based a lot of it off that.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
Like there was a story where we were doing an exam because I went to theater school for theater technician.
Okay. So, very cool.
Yeah. So we were doing a lighting exam, just doing standard exam, and one of my people we went to school with, halfway through the exam she was shit-faced through the entire exam, ran out, puked in a garbage can, came back and finished her test, and she got the highest grade, and we all laughed at that.
Wow. That's so cool. Yeah, you know, I could see how you mentioned you're a theater tech. I could see how that could actually like really improve like set design or scene design in a video game. You know
absolutely.
What I mean?
And then when I was there, I specialized in producing, so that is just direct correlation into making games.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't know much about producing a film, but I imagine you're basically directing like everyone that's making the film,
exactly,
right? Or not theater production. Sorry, not film.
Corey's been super instrumental in keeping us on track. Like me and Richard, we don't, we're kind of like a couple of kittens, and then Corey's sort of like the herd.
Exactly.
Corralling us, but no, he's good in keeping us on track on like what task is, regardless of how many features he comes up with.
And it's a super important skill to have. It really is. Yeah, I've been on projects where everyone was scattered, and there was no one corralling us.
Yeah, exactly. Like going back to we've done a couple of global game jams, and Corey's been on our team when we're making our game, because you have 48 hours to make a video game, and he's really good at keeping people on track. So we've always done quite well at those, because we always can keep people on task and on the next step.
Oh yeah. And game jams are just a great opportunity to learn, make friends, pick up on these skills, hone in on the skills, and
exactly
all that good stuff. Now, you said that when we were speaking before we started recording, you mentioned that Super Beersbee actually started as a game jam game. Is that correct?
It was a precursor to a game jam game. We just wanted to see what we could do in a short amount of time, 24-hour period. So we figured, we like Beersbee. It'd be cool to make a Beersbee game, and then it just spiraled.
Wow. So how did the actual game jam turn out?
It was awesome.
Yeah?
Yeah, the actual first game jam we went to, we made a little game about like a home carrier pigeon.
Yeah, it was transmission, I think, was what we were doing our theme on that year.
And then, again, I'm going to get into bragging territory because it's fun. We ended up winning that game jam with that, which was really cool. It was the first time we ever done a game jam and actually got our work recognized, so it was really cool.
Oh, yeah. That's got to be a huge motivator.
Yeah, it was interesting because since it was our first, we didn't really know what to expect. And then we thought, oh, well, we just have this and whatever. And then like when we went to present and everything, we didn't realize how well we did.
Yeah. No, I mean, it sounds like everyone responded very well to what you've done. But at the same time, like, yeah, if you don't really know what it is that got you there, it's almost like confusing,
Yeah.
But obviously you guys know quite a bit about what you're doing.
We were leaving the venue and then we hit the elevator and we're like, what just happened? How did we win? I don't understand.
That's so cool. Yeah. And I can tell that you're probably going to win more awards if you keep this up.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. You're doing a great job. And it sounds like what I'm learning the most from this project is your ability to balance life and work is extraordinary.
Yeah, like we all have full-time jobs, so like we're working full-time, and then whenever we have the time, you put it towards Beersbee. And we also, and you have to enjoy life too, right? So, and like Jared, he has 2 kids, so like he has a family to take care of as well. And
I do.
Yeah, dude.
Just kidding. Yeah, no, it's been a really good balance of taking a hobby and just going a bit further with it than what I guess you usually would, and then having other people, your friends in with it, having your friends in it with you keeps you kind of accountable. So it's a good way to keep motivated on your project.
For sure.
Yeah, and relating back to that game jam, we would always leave like relatively early, like around like 1 o'clock in the morning kind of thing compared to everybody else. And one of the people running is like, you guys know what you're doing because you're going home and sleeping.
Yeah.
So I guess like having that balance is a good idea.
Oh, it's a great idea. Someone, I can't remember who it was, some awesome game dev somewhere once said that sleep is like one of the most valuable things that you have as a developer. So if you can do it, it's only going to help.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, obviously, don't oversleep. But if you're not well rested, you're not going to do a great job. Arting or coding or whatever it is,
Yeah, you make a mistake and then you won't know where that mistake is because you're too tired.
Yeah, and how many times have you just looked at a bug and stared at it for hours, and then you're like, I'm going to bed, you wake up in 2 seconds, you're like, oh, that's fixed, and you don't even need to think about it anymore. Yeah. It's a shame that, a lot of game jams are real small because then you don't get that many mornings to wake up and be like, oh, I figured it out. But, there are longer game jams too. I love game jams. I just don't ever have the time anymore.
They're so good. We try to at least do one a year.
Yeah, we usually go in February, I think, is usually
the game jam is the one we do.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, no, I did the Ludum Dare. I did a couple global game jams. And then there's like a local game jam every once in a while that occurs. I kind of like the local one even more than the online ones.
The local ones are always good because you get to actually sit in the same room with other people.
Right, and just you're automatically going to meet new people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're fortunate enough to have a big enough community here that the game jams are always a really good opportunity to meet other people who just have different but cool ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more like 100 people every time. It's kind of cool.
It sounds like Edmonton's the place in Canada for indie games.
It's one of the places.
Very cool. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to check it out eventually. Who knows? Next time I'll be able to travel.
Yeah, no kidding. Eh?
What you gonna do? All right, so we're looking at Steam. Are we thinking like in the next year or something like that? You're gonna have a Steam store up?
We hope so.
Oh, you're talking just the game page itself for sure.
Yeah, because I'd love to wish list this.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And apparently, it's really important to gather these wish lists as soon as you can.
Yeah, I've read that a couple places where like the wish list is like will make or break your game, which is crazy, man. Like how often I can't think the last time I wish listed something and actually bought it.
Yeah.
Same here.
But it's I've wish listed to help a lot of devs, and I feel like it helps them. But yeah, I'll definitely at least take a look at your game once it's got a price tag, and I'll think about buying it. I mean, Who knows if I'll actually buy it, depending on how much it costs. But
I'll think about it.
I think it'll be a purchase. I think it's purchasable for sure. I don't see it costing more than $15 or something like that, right? So
all right, $200. That's how much you owe us.
I don't know if I've paid 200. No, it's a great looking game though. So someone might. Very cool.
Yeah, we're pretty happy with the art direction. It turned out pretty good.
Yeah. Do you want to go into more detail on the art direction?
Oh, it's super simple. Super Nintendo. Like everything that I decided for that game is just what it would look like on Super Nintendo.
That's great. So there's got to be like an art style from Super Nintendo in particular. I mean, clearly the Super Dodgeball has a lot to do with the perspective and stuff, and then kind of anything that fits that perspective is game.
Yeah, well, because what I want to do is like Super Nintendo had a lot of very like squashed graphics, like everybody seemed like short and fat.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to do Super Nintendo, I want it to still not look like I'm just doing Super Nintendo.
Uh-huh.
So that's why if you notice, like a lot of the characters look very lanky.
Uh-huh.
Like I stretch them all out.
Yeah.
And then that made it so I could animate a lot easier because being able to move lanky limbs is a lot easier than short, fat ones.
Right. Well, the limitations are lifted.
Because I don't have to actually stick to the original like hexadecimal grids that Super Nintendo had.
Yes, exactly. Very cool. So I mean that's great that you're looking at the technical aspects of it and seeing how you can adjust the art, still work with the aesthetic, make things easier for you, and just make a generally better game.
Exactly. And originally I was thinking about going with like Super Nintendo only palette, but then I realized they really limited me because I wanted to go very bright colors with it.
Yeah.
And it just the palette just didn't have it, so I was like, whatever, I'll just do my own palette.
I think you made the right choice there too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a party game, so muted colors don't really translate well when you're trying to have a good time.
Absolutely. And so I mean, a lot of developers, their plan is to, if the game does well, like, let's get it on the Switch or let's get it on Xbox or whatever. And yeah, the colors are going to look way better the way they are now, for sure.
And the nice thing about working with game makers, like, besides the financial part is actually kind of hefty, but getting it onto consoles is pretty straightforward from what I've looked into.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's still some porting, just like anything else. So,
Game Maker, like it has those features in place, and it really like it helps you along. And there's tutorials out there. It's not just like
very cool.
You're working in C+ and you got to figure it out, right?
Yeah. I mean, that sounds like there's a big community. I mean, yeah, it is like $600 for a license or something like that, right? Yeah. $500 or something.
Financial problem, but like it sounds like porting is going to be something we can do, not something that's like I don't know what I'm doing.
Right. Well, it sounds like a financial problem, but you don't have to pay that once.
That's true.
You don't have to pay a percentage. You know what I mean? Right. So if you let's say you sell 30,000 units, I mean that's $600-$700 is nothing,
Right.
So totally make your money back if, I guess it comes down to the marketing a lot then. And if you're already at the point where you feel comfortable putting it onto a console, then you probably already have some of the marketing covered.
That's true.
So like I said, you'll just have to see what happens as far as the community support goes and stuff like that, but you'll know what to do when the time arrives. And I'm excited. I think that I think you'll be able to rally up the troops for this one for sure.
Yeah, you're just hoping for that one, right?
Yeah, totally. I don't see why not. It seems like a fun game. The colors and the art style are amazing. The music is phenomenal.
It's definitely fun to play in a group setting. The competitiveness sort of gets out there, and then people kind of feed off each other, and it just sort of builds. It's like rolling dice at a casino almost. It's be comparable.
Yeah. Have you been able to get some people together outside of the development team to play?
Yeah, we there's I'm not sure if they're still open, but there's a bar in downtown Edmonton called Beercade where we're able to showcase our game.
Wow.
And then people, us and a couple other devs had their game set up, and people would come by and pick up a controller and just go to town. We left the demo screen up, and it was pretty well received. So
yeah.
So a demo night essentially at this bar. I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry.
Yeah, basically, yeah. We also showcased it at Press A to Start, a local event we had here in Edmonton.
Cool. And it went over well, I take it?
It did, but didn't. So the people who had played Beersbee would pick it up and understand the game perfectly. The people who had never played Beersbee before would get frustrated with it because they just couldn't figure it out.
I see.
Yeah, so that is a hurdle that we have to try to correct.
There was a girl who somehow found a bug in our demo that we had squashed all bugs out of. She'd never played Beers before. She was like, "So I do this," and then the game crashed. We're like, hold that
yeah. Hey, that's a perfect tester, right? If they found the bug in the non-bugged game, So, as far as getting people to understand the game before playing the game, I feel like some type of cutscene could even do the trick where like it just shows the act of throwing it at the stick. I mean, I guess the rules are a little bit, because I watched some YouTube videos before the interview just so I knew a little bit about the actual sport, the field sport or whatever, the backyard game. So there are some mechanic stuff that I guess would be a little bit difficult to like be like, oh, you hit the stick and you didn't catch it or something, you know, that type of stuff. But
we had a little text tutorial beforehand. But we thought people would just skip by it and just got straight to the game because you're there and you're playing games. You only have like 5 minutes to play a game till you want to go play something else.
Yeah, no one reads tutorials.
So the best way we did was literally having one of us play with somebody and just talk them through it that way.
Right on. Yeah, and then so that you're kind of setting up a hurdle though.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't do that when they're just downloading it, right? But I feel like user testing is probably going to be the way that you overcome that hurdle.
I agree.
Cool. And of course, with COVID, that makes it a little bit difficult. But
yeah, a lot of things are kind of on hold right now.
Yeah, a lot of things are on hold. Yeah, for sure. Do you guys have a like a Discord or some type of online community?
We don't know.
Okay. But the Itch and the Game Jolt, you'd probably be able to reach out if someone were to like chime in.
Oh, absolutely. And also our Twitter and like my personal Twitter, which I can send you links for. Are a great way to just like just ask me questions.
And then you've got Good Agreement Games has a Twitter as well.
Yeah.
And that's just at Good Agree Games.
Yep.
So no mint, but just Good Agree Games.
Yeah, believe it or not, Good Agreement Games was taken.
Yeah. Well, that's Twitter for you.
Yep.
Yeah, so go find their Twitter. It's at Good Agree Games, camel case, super easy to find.
Yeah, have any questions, just fire them off to me, I'll answer.
Yeah, let's try to get some community for these people. This game is really cool, so show them some love.
Hype!
Yeah.
We just learned that word like 2 weeks ago.
I'm still learning it myself. It's hard to say it the way you did, by the way. I'm really impressed. I've tried. I just feel funny. But yeah, that's what we need, is some hype for sure. Cool. So I feel like at this point we've pretty much covered everything. I don't think we've missed out anything.
Yeah, we did good.
So we'll see you on Steam shortly. I'm sure if we follow you on Twitter, we'll see your Steam announcement eventually, and then we'll be able to wishlist you. Of course. Until then, we're gonna play the demo and follow you on Game Jolt and Itch. And then we're going to get an email when you get your new demo out, which we're excited for. So, yeah, don't hold up on the demo. And we'd love to play it. And for me personally, I'll definitely give you some feedback on it. Absolutely. So, and it, down the line, we'd love to have you back on the podcast and talk about, other challenges that you faced or other things you found in development cycle or just how things are going, So.
Yeah, you bet. Ask us anytime, man.
Cool. Well, I want to thank you guys so much for taking part in this interview, bringing this awesome game to the community and, just being cool people.
Thanks for having us. Well, it's fun.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And Techie, thanks, Brian, thanks for co-hosting this one. I appreciate it.
Yes, no problem.
Cool. All right, guys. Have a great night.
Thanks.
You too.
Thanks everyone for listening. I hope that you were able to take away something. Thanks again, Good Agreement Games, for joining us on the podcast. Awesome work with Super Beersbee. I wish you the best with that, and I want to see more in the future. Before I go, I would like to take a second to say, for anyone listening to the show, if you would like to be interviewed, please feel free to reach out on Twitter at IGDR_podcast, and there's actually a link in the bio to apply for an interview. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to DM me at IGDR_podcast or at RikOclon, one word, RikOclon. That's my name. And thanks again, everyone. I can't wait to know what you're working on.